horse's mouth. Our Neil Young News Report.
Smell the horse on this one.
With this week's update from ThrashersWheat.org, here's Thrasher.
Hey, Thrasher here with this week's Neil Young News, and once again, we have a lot of fresh wheat that we need to report on, so let's get right to it. The Neil Young and Crazy Horse tour in Europe, the opening leg, wrapped up this week in London. A great conclusion to the first leg of the Summer Europe tour, the first of 3 legs, wrapped up in London with a great show, by all reports. Had a big surprise in the set list with a rarity, Red Sun performed. It's only been performed live a few times, so hopefully we can get that as a live track for you here on Thrashers Radio with WBKM at some point here in the coming upcoming shows. But otherwise, a great conclusion there, especially given the what happened the night before in Dublin, and we've covered this on the blog quite a bit. And suffice it to say, it's sort of being labeled as the debacle in Dublin. Everything that could go wrong that night apparently did go wrong. You know, the venue. Being in a racetrack in Dublin, outdoors, rain, bad sound, none of the sets, props, just a lot of bad vibes at that show, and there were a lot of very negative comments coming out in the press and on the blog, and a lot of people upset about, you know, what they experienced for a whole variety of reasons. You know, the usual, you know, it didn't play songs that they recognized and that kind of business. But, you know, there were some legitimate complaints there, you know, particularly about the venue and the sound. But anyway, all's well that ends well. The London show was a big success. You know, really just to kind of give you a feel for those 2 nights. The London show clocked in at about 2.5 hours with 17 songs, while the Dublin show was probably less than 2 hours and had 13 songs. You know, there's one of the shortest shows of the whole Alchemy tour. So anyway, after all of that, we ran a poll on Thrasher's Wheat regarding the feedback endings of some of the songs, like Walk Like a Giant with its infamous 10-minute feedback ending, which, you know, obviously is not everybody's cup of tea, but for some devotees, it's kind of like what it's all about. And so we'd heard, you know, a lot of complaints about that, you know, as we always do whenever Neil goes into one of his feedback phases. You know, and some of the comments are, you know, kind of amusing from the standpoint of, well, if Walk Like a Giant didn't have the 10 minutes of feedback at the end of it, you know, we could have played like 2 or 3 more songs. Well, I think for a lot of us, you know, it's not about quantity, it's about quality, and really, Walk Like a Giant probably doesn't translate as well into a large type of venue performance as it should, and it's really this sonic experimentation that if you're right up close on the rail and you're able to see and feel and hear some of the sonic dynamics that are going on stage, and what the band is doing in terms of dealing with the wall of sound and the feedback and how that is all created, you know, it's quite visually compelling as well as sonically compelling. And anyway, so the poll results were that people like the feedback ending, so, you know, screw it if you don't. So anyway, polls are still open. Vote on that. Anyway, moving on. So the next leg of the Alchemy tour in Europe goes on July 11th in Luxembourg, and will continue on through the end of July, wrapping up in Rome on the 26th of July, and then resumes again back in August, August 5th, up in Scandinavia, Helsinki, Finland. So anyway, stay tuned. We'll be tracking all that good stuff, and we'll just sort of move into wrap-up mode here. We'll once again, you know, thanks the good folks at Sugar Mountain for compiling set lists, helping us keep track of things. Certainly want to thank Rust Radio for providing us some tracks here on the radio. Appreciate all of that. And then, of course, thank you guys out there, the listeners, the readers on the blog, and listening to us on WBKM. Once again, appreciate all of your support and love and sending us some good vibes and good words. We have our T-shirts printed up, and they're going to be shipped out here very soon, so hopefully you'll be getting those in the days and week or so ahead. If you're overseas, we're trying to ship those out first. So stay tuned. And, of course, say thanks to Tony and Eric there at WBKM for getting us out on the road and helping us bring it all back home to folks around the world. So it's a great road trip out with you guys. And, of course, thank Howell, our tour manager, for all the logistics out there in Europe, helping us navigate through all the countries and transportation connections and all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, we'll be talking more about what we experienced there in Europe as we look ahead and look back and live in the present. And so everybody keep on rocking in the free world.